Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Azka Dewarizqi Gunawan. I would like to elaborate about depictions of Orient in arts and literature, and then the positive and negative depictions of Muslims and Islam in society, and then the last one is about the Islamophobia as an extent of Orientalism. I would like to start with the depictions of Orient in arts and literature, um, especially in the pop cultural society. The depictions of Orient in arts and literature dated back to pre-19th centuries, where both classical France and Britain adopted exotic Oriental element in their paintings. The works such as Grande Odalisque by Jean-Auguste Dominique Ingres, and Inspection of New Arrivals by Giulio Rosati are two of many depictions of Orient culture. They signified their Oriental themed art by adding elements such as feather duster, carpets, rugs, and even hashish pipe identical with those of Arabs. Yet the art's depiction were sometimes overly dramatized and romanticized to fit the general demand of exotic Orient culture. Hence, the power knowledge within the arts affected the general assumption of what is and what was regarding the Orient culture itself. In the modern days, those paintings become alive and turn into movies and video games. In addition to the advancement of motion picture industry, the culture of stereotyping also extends towards more relatable contemporary issues. The prime example can be seen in movies such as The Dictators and video games such as Prince of Persia. The Dictators tells a story about the stereotypical Arab dictator named Aladdin, played by Sacha Baron Cohen. It is a comedy film that uses racial form of comedy to attract its viewers, providing huge amount of stereotypical Arab behavior and characteristics like beards, goats, and discrimination against women. Prince of Persia itself is a series of video games that took place in fictional depiction of ancient Persia and Babylonia, uh, with consisted of typical mosque-like architectural standard and offers sexualized depiction of Arab women. The games depicted how prone the building to collapse, suggesting that the building is as dangerous as it is beautiful. The games also depicted the misogynistic sides where the protagonist women are not strong and needed to be protected by domination of the men. Other stereotypical depictions about Orient can be seen in other movies such as The Mummy, Indiana Jones, the action movies basically, where the Arabs are depicted as the antagonist, the is antagonized, and then the hero, the white hero, will come to save the day. And then there are also memoirs of geisha that they portrayed wrongly, and then it can also be seen in video games such as Battlefield and Call of Duty, where the Arabs are considered the terrorist and become the enemy. And then jump to positive and negative depictions of Muslims and Islam in society. The depictions of Muslims and Arabs are sometimes used interchangeably. Hence, there's so many confusion in even using the stereotypical slurs. Yet, to generalize, the depictions can be defined according to the condition in which the Muslims are currently living in. Before discussing about it, I would like to divide the Muslim society into Muslim majority society and Muslim minority society. In Western countries such as USA, the Muslims and Arabs are depicted into three general stereotypes. It is coined by Mazin Kumsiyeh, a Palestino-American author, uh, that Arabs and Muslims sometimes describe with terms 3B. billionaires, bombers, and belly dancers. Although the term belly dancers are more popular in movies, the term billionaires and bombers can be used in everyday life. Billionaires refer to those Arabs Muslim who are super rich and loves wealth and lavish lifestyle they got from oil money. Bombers refer to terrorist activities infamous since the 9/11 tragedies. Some of Muslims were mocked as terrorists, and the phrase Allahu Akbar is basically used comically as the sign before someone detonates themselves in suicide bombing. Other negative depictions can be found in Muslim majority society, where Muslims can be generalized by the minorities as intolerant and just mildly conservative to changes. It can be seen in societies such as Indonesia and Malaysia, where Muslims in Indonesia are even brandished as the victim of Arabization, referring to the change of lifestyle from traditional Indonesian Muslim clothes to more Arabized Muslim clothes such as keffiyeh. Perhaps finding the positive stereotypes of Muslims can be more challenging due to the fact that the world nowadays are circled around news of terrorism and intolerance of Muslim majority towards non-Muslim minority. One of a very few examples of positive stereotypes of Muslim society is the realization of how clean Muslims actually are. Recent phenomenon in social media saw Muslims practice of using water bidet to clean themselves after excretion. It saw popular support and generalization from the Western counterpart, and other aspects such as the manner in which Muslims crouch when doing excretion and the preference of not eating pork due to its health hazard start shaping the stereotypes about how clean, even to some extent, how civilized Muslims actually are. And finally, it is how to relate between Islamophobia to Orientalism as its extension. Um, I believe that Orientalism provides building block for Islamophobia. It started from the Orientalists of pre-Enlightenment era that concerned themselves in proving the falseness of Muhammad and his revelations in service to Christendom. Then the world saw the rise of Enlightenment, questioning about the logic of religion as a whole, leading to the rise of secular Orientalist thinkers such as Thomas Carlyle and Maxim Rodinson, later in time, who criticized Islam and Muhammad as a figure. There are also the contributions of Orientalists to the colonial era, which had more political reason in condescending Islam, regarding them as uncivilized and in need of help, such as stated in the white man's burden theory. Not a theory, a hypothesis, I guess. Some terms that has been coined out by the colonizers to colonize the colony. And then it justified their reason actually as colonizers. It then finally arrived to the contemporary world, debating on contemporary issues such as gender equality and the violence tendencies of Muslims that can lead to terrorism. In my opinion, Islamophobia are not normative behavior. It is not a term that is naturally agreed upon by society. Yet, I think it is a result of a structured historical phenomena. Orientalists' views on Islam, in addition to recent issues and participation of media, help creating the stereotypical view of Islam as monolithic, uncivilized, and backwards. They use the narration of Quran and Hadith as very condescending to women. But I believe that if only that the academicians are not biased by that structural power knowledge that has been revolving around in the world about Islam, I think they can view it objectively. I think the depictions of Muslims and Islams in the world can be much better than nowadays. I believe that it is an extent of Orientalism, how Orientalists actually give Islam a very negative connotations in the first place. Thank you.